Stefan Tompson was born in Great Britain. He is the author of short educational films about Poland, its history, and its current events. These popular films are often focused on setting the record straight in the foreign media, which often seems to misunderstand what's happening in contemporary Poland as well as the historical past. His films are in English and designed to address a foreign audience, which all too often believes that the Second World War began in 1941, or that Poles attacked Germany.
Our guest today is Stefan Tompson, who's a journalist as well as a filmmaker. Stefan, welcome to Poland Daily Culture.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Could you describe your videos to people who haven't watched them? Because you're trying to show Poland's image abroad in the best way possible, and this is at least my perception of your films. And how would you describe them?
I don't think I want to show Poland in the best way possible. I think I want to show it in the most truthful way as possible. The aim of it is to correct some of the distortions and some of the most commonly held myths that have been propagated through various channels and through various ways, and these misperceptions are quite deeply held in various places, and there hasn't been much of a political move into correcting the misconceptions about Polish history. My primary area of interest is history and Poland's role in history, and this is a role which has been either marginalized, distorted, or outright lied about. And my aim with these is to contribute slightly in correcting those misperceptions and of promoting the actual historical truth, or trying to be as close as possible to that, as close as you can be to the historical truth. Mm-hmm. That is my aim.
And you're half Polish and half South African, right? And where did you grow up? Because you haven't lived in Poland your whole life, right?
No, I've lived in Poland the minority of my life. I was born and raised in London. My father is British South African. My mother is a British Pole. She's also born in the UK. My great grandparents and my grandparents left Poland before and during the Second World War, and they ended up in London, which was a sort of centre of of political, military, and diplomatic emigres. And in a sense, London was, from 1945 till 1989, London was the beating heart of the Polish Second Republic. It sort of really never ended until the presidential insignias were handed over to Lech Wałęsa, and the last president in exile completed the mission. So London, the London that I grew up in a sense, I think one could say I did grow up in a sort of post-Second Republic Polish London, with the remnants of these political emigres, these diplomatic emigres, these military emigres. That was a very big part of my life, especially the Polish club Ognisko, which agglomerated and which conglomerated all of these people. So I did, despite the fact that I grew up in the UK, I think I was bathed in this very heavy Polish cultural sort of, in a sense, bubble, I suppose. So on Saturdays we would be woken up at 8 in the morning and taken to Polish school, whereas when my friends were having fun on their Saturdays, I was sitting in class learning how to read and write Polish and learning about Polish history. And all sorts of people would have their various activities, and we would go to either the Polish Center or the Polish club, and that was, I think, it was a reality for a lot of sort of Poles born in the UK. So there was. I think it's an interesting thing. I was raised in London, but I was raised in a very Polish London.
But still, was it hard for you to leave everything there and move to Poland in order to promote Poland's culture and history?
That makes my move sound like a very altruistic and very kind thing. I moved for a variety of reasons. Was it difficult? No, I think home is definitely is going to complete cliche. Home is of course where the heart is, and my heart is most certainly here. So no, it wasn't difficult. I have a lot of friends here. I'm very happy here. Of course, I miss London from time to time, but no, it wasn't difficult to come here. Poland is an incredible place. It's a great place. It is a place with huge potential. It is a place that is very vibrant. It is a place that is full of energy, and that is reflected both in the culture, it's reflected in the economic situation of this country, it is reflected even in the deep political shifts that are taking place in this country. And I think it is an excellent place to be, and I'm very happy to be here. Yes, I think no, it wasn't difficult to come to Poland.
And how do you feel your friends from abroad, like how do they feel about Poland if you talk to them about it and they don't know much? What is their perception on our country?
That is an interesting question, and it's a question with a variety of answers, because when I was a teenager, I was actually, despite the fact that my mother is Polish and my father is South African, I was sent to French schools. And it was an interesting thing because it was a French school filled with expats, relatively wealthy expats, and in 2004 something happened, whereas before I was just another normal child, albeit with an English surname and with a Polish mother. I was nonetheless just another child. But in 2004 something happened, and that shift was the opening of the borders, and suddenly officially just under 1 million Poles arrived in the UK. And a lot of my friends ended up having Polish nannies or Polish cooks or Polish cleaners. And that actually did change their attitudes towards me. So I did experience a degree of anti-Polonism, and I did experience some sort of mockery of based purely on where I was from, and that was definitely, there was a shift, and I realized that there was something different about Poland, and that. For some reason, it seemed to be a source of mockery for some, and I think had that not happened, had people not mocked me for where I was from, which was ironic because I wasn't born there, I didn't spend any time there, my mother wasn't born there, it was a bit of an alien land to me, but nonetheless, the fact that I was being mocked about it, I think the fact that I responded to it, instead of detaching myself completely, as I've seen many Polish people do abroad, I decided that it was very hard to reject something that I didn't have a deeper understanding of. And in fact, it was that anti-Polonism which actually pushed me into the arms of Poland. So in fact, I'm very glad I was mocked. As St. John Paul II said, don't want a country that costs you nothing. So I think obviously it's a very small cost to pay having school children mock you for where you're from. But nonetheless, yes, there is there was some anti-Polonism, and I think there was some discrimination based on the fact that there was a huge amount of Poles arrived in the UK, and it changed the demographics of the country, and suddenly there were lots of Polish people who flooded the job market, and it was difficult for the lower working classes in the UK, and there was a degree of that. And but over the past 14 years, there's been a big change, and that change is reflected in the fact that immigration has now integrated, has assimilated, has accrued capital, and their social position has been gradually changing. So they've gone from being a nation of plumbers, cleaners, and electricians to being actually represented in a very wide range of society and some very elite jobs, and that's reflected, by example, by the Polish City Club, which has grown from just a few members to several hundred now.